Hello, everyone. This is Tiffany of Whitney and Tiffany, and today I am going to walk you through our ultimate workflow. So, this is the package that for $50 you get everything included. It's the retouch, and then we have the color toning, and then finally we have final touches. So this works really well with some of our other packages. So for example, there is skin smoothing in this package, but not as intense as our skin smoothing package. So I'm going to walk you through only using our ultimate workflow and show you a little bit what it's all about. So this is the image I am starting with, and I'm going to play our ultimate workflow. What is so amazing about these actions is that you don't need to flatten any of them. So if you screw up, like I am a flattener, Whitney is not. So, she can ask me how I did something and I'm like, I have no idea. I edit by eye. I start with something, I notice there's a hair out of place, I flatten, I fix that. I go back to what I'm doing. It's my ADD at its finest. And she's like, I'm a squirrel everywhere. And she was like, I start here, I end here, and this is how I do it, and introduced me to this workflow. And it's truly unbelievable. And it is life-changing. If you are a squirrel editor like me, this will change your life. So I just ran the action, and we have final touches, color toning, and retouch. So we go to the bottom to retouch, and you hit the arrow, and it brings up everything that we have. So bottom up is how we typically work. So this is our skin smoothing action. It smooths the skin, you paint it on, but it also preserves the texture and the contrast and some of the clarity in the skin rather than like the plastic looking skin, which I understand some people like and there's a place for it. So we do offer one that just smooths skin in our skin bundle. But as far as this is concerned, the only skin smoothing action we have is this one. So I am going to grab a white brush, black mask, so we have to have a white brush, and I'm going to paint this on her skin. I have a lot of work, and that's one of the reasons why I chose this one, especially on her skin, because she's really blotchy. She had something in her eye. So at one point her eyes are all watering. I shot this at like a 1.4, I want to say. So actually her neck, if you see her face and hands were out further. So her neck doesn't really even need to be smoothed, but I went over it anyway. In our skin set, we have things for under eyes. I'm just going to hit the backslash key here. So something about Kinley's under eyes, many people use the patch tool to go under here and patch this and then pull down. But as you can see, she has freckles. So if I grab here and pull down, it pulls freckles all the way up to under her eye. And that's not realistic for her. I don't know if people who have a lot of freckles have them under her eyes, but she does not. So we do have a skin smoothing or an under eye corrector in our skin pack. So again, this is going to be, in my opinion, minimal skin smoothing. If you want the whole skin package, purchase the skin package. It is so worth your money. And I may end up showing you guys just because I hate the look of an unfinished image. So I might run some of that anyway. So turning this off and on, you can see the difference that's already made in her skin. We also sell a frequency separation action, which I really like. She pulls a lot of red in her chin, so I kind of like to blend in through here with frequency separation. But a lot of that can be fixed with our other actions. So done with the skin smoothing. Then I'm going to go into my cheeks, lips, and teeth. So I'm going to scroll to the bottom and I'm going to start with my cheeks. I am at 100% with a white brush. I'm going to use my bracket keys to make this a little bit larger, and I am going to run this down the side of her cheeks, turning that off and on. It's at 20%. If you want it higher, maybe you're doing a Halloween shoot, I don't know. If you don't like this color, this is what is so wonderful about this. It can be any color you want. Maybe you are doing a Halloween shoot and you want to give her green cheeks. Any color you want. If it's too dark, you move over here. If you want it a little bit more to look like it's in the shadows, you scooch down. If you want more bright, you scooch up. This is completely up to you, and you can click anywhere you want and choose any color that you would like. So I'm going to go here, turning that off and on, and I am going to drop that just a tad. Now, if I like the color on this side, but it's a little dark over here, no problem. It's black. I grab a black brush, and I'm going to put the flow down to like 10%, and I'm going to take it off, a little bit off of that cheek to kind of even it out, because this cheek is in a shadow. So completely up to you, but it's easy to do. The next thing is lips. Same deal, same exact thing. I'm going to up my flow to 100%, and I'm going to zoom in on her lips, and I am simply going to grab a white brush, and I am going to paint this on her lips just to give them some color. I even do this. My son has the most beautiful lips. My brother, he has his daddy's lips. She's got her mom's little thin lips, but that's okay. I even put color on my son's lip, not this much, but just to pop the lips. Always put color. I like this color, but again, if you don't, you can double click on the mask and you can go anywhere you'd like to change that color. All right, teeth whitening. This is going to add a whiteness to your teeth, but not a brightener. So if your subject has really white teeth already, I'm not sure why you'd be whitening them, but you are not going to see a huge difference. We don't want it to be like glowing in your face. We want these to be natural looking. So I can't do this for you right now because it's not showing her teeth, but just know that teeth whitening, it does whiten the teeth, but it doesn't necessarily brighten them. All right. All over glow. I am just going to use this as is. I'm going to click on the black masks. And I like to use this one on the cheeks to blend the color that I put on there and to add a little bit of brightness. And then I also like to put it on her chin. Okay, so if I turn that one off and on, you can see it's very bright. So I am going to drop that down. Too much for me. So you can see what that has done. All right, we're done with the cheeks and lips. I can turn that off and on and just show you the little bit that it's done. The next, and this is one of my favorite sets, and I got to have Whitney pull this out and sell this separately, is the eye set. It is so good. So the first thing that I always like to do, and this is going to be too bright, so I will bring it back, is to just brighten the overall socket. So I had already said she didn't get her daddy's lips, but she got her daddy's dark under circles. So that'll brighten that. And again, we have another action that helps with that in our skin set as well. But I'm going to bring that down because it is not only brightening around her eye, but her eye as well. And I'm going to do more of that in these actions. And so I don't want her to have like alien glowing eyes. All right, the next thing we have is the kicker light and the key light. So here's where you go into their catch lights. And I've got it at 100% because I really like them to glow. You dot over them. You can even add in, if you had another light or didn't have another light and wanted to add a little bit more light into the eye, I am going to, hold on, I need to turn this off and on now. All right, I've still got it. All right, I took that one out. I'm just going to go back here because I'm only going over the catch lights that are in her eyes, turning that off and on so you can see what that's done. And I went over into the iris, and that's okay. I like extra color. If you don't do it. So I did this on one of our photos where my subject had beautiful bright blue eyes, and this just made the blue pop. Kinley does not. She has pretty much every color you can imagine in her eyes, but I'm just adding contrast here, and if I turn that off and on, you can see it's really brightening up like the yellows and the oranges in here. I love this on blue eyes. I'm not going to use it on her eyes today because I like another action that we have better on her eyes. So again, every subject is different, but what is so wonderful about these is they all come up, you run them, and if you don't like it, you don't use it. So it's great. You don't have to flatten anything. You just turn it off. So that is what is so wonderful about this workflow is everything is there at your disposal. And if you don't like it, you turn it off. So I am going to turn this on and off. This is kind of like the teeth whitening and it's, you can really notice it over here, but other than that, not as much. I also like to brighten my whites. Now, again, we don't want alien eyes peering at us. And I actually like overdone eyes because I just think eyes are beautiful, looking into the soul of the subject, but I still bring this down. So just a little bit of brightness. Boosting the iris color is going to do just that. I can go on here and show you. It's going to add some saturation into the iris. I am not going to use that on Kinley, but again, it's so gorgeous on blue eyes. This is the one that I love. And when you talk about alien eyes, prepare yourself here. All right, so I am going to put this on Kinley's eyes. And some people avoid this. I don't. I like to put it all the way through the entire iris. And then on here, we double click. And this is going to bring up our coloring. So I can change her eye color to any color I want. Now, I don't want her to look different. I just want to add in a little bit of extra boost of color. So she's got all of this in there. If your subject has very brown eyes, add red. It's gorgeous. So now you can see, I really like to pop the blues in her eyes. And if I zoom out, it's like, what? That's scary, right? If any of you have watched Wednesday, when I first showed this to Kinley, she's like, Mom, it's like Bianca. And it totally is. So maybe you're going for Wednesday shoot. You can go ahead and have a Bianca and do that with your eyes. But I'm not doing that for this photo. So that's just a little bit you can see there. It just really pops the eyes. I love it. It's one of my favorite. Okay, here's another one that Whitney and I discussed because typically if your subject has blue eyes, their limbal ring is already quite pronounced. When Kinley's in a shade, hers is, but underneath the studio light, it's really not. So I always like to just darken it up a tad. Take it or leave it. You don't have to. I am just checking this and I'm going to just drop it because again, I don't want it to be like in your face, but I want it just a little bit more pronounced. This action is amazing. Our eye sharpening action. Go ahead again with a white brush at 100% and I'm just clicking on her iris. So I can close up our eye retouch and turn that off and on. And in a matter of a couple minutes, we have completely transformed the look of her eyes. I am going to just drop this overall opacity a tad because it was a little bit too much for me. All right, next thing we have on the retouch is the hair. So this is not the best picture to share this because she doesn't have a lot of hair out, but I'm going to go over this and I'll have to fix it because it's going to be on her skin and we don't want this on our skin, but this is going to give your hair that painterly look. So I am going to put it on her headband and I know that this isn't hair, but it's kind of hairy. So, and you can definitely see it here. I am also going to put it on this little plant-ish, whatever this thing is, because I want to give it that painterly look. So I'm going to go through here. Now, if I zoom in and I put this on her skin, you can see we definitely don't want that. So one way you can check to see is the backslash key. And anywhere that it is red, we do not have the action. Anywhere that it is white, we do. So I have to go back in here now with a black brush and I need to paint that off at 100% because I don't want squiggly skin. All right. I'm just going to fix this. And then, like I said, it's on her hair. This is gorgeous when your subject has their hair down. It just gives it that beautiful painterly look. It is pretty strong. Personally, I typically reduce it. But again, it's all personal preference. And then again, this one, it's going to be difficult to see, but we definitely don't want to leave this at 100%. I'm actually going to put this on here as well because I want those to shine. So if I back this up and turn it off and on, you can see it's adding in that shine, but I don't want to give her red hair. So that I'm going to bring it down just to give it a little bit of shine in her hair. Spot healing, I actually did beforehand, and that's just taking away the little hairs using your spot healing brush. But I don't need to do that because I quickly did that, and then there were 2 of these sticking out over here that I did before we started editing. All right. The last thing is dodge, burn, and glow. And this is also found in our skin set as well. So if you are just looking to improve your skin and don't want all of this, this will be included in there as well. So I'm going to start with dodging. Need to grab a brush. You have 2 options. You can leave your brush at 100%, which I sometimes like doing because then I can see exactly where I'm putting things. And then you can drop your opacity. So I'm going to do that with my dodging. I am going to leave it at 100%, and I am just going to dodge around areas that I want to add in some light. You can focus just on the face or the entire image. I'm going to add some light into the entire image. Actually, I'm going to hit Command Z there because I have a different one I want to use there. So I'm going to hit Command Z, make that a little bit smaller and go through on her lip. I don't know if you've ever seen the makeup tutorials like on TikTok where it shows like how you can make the nose crooked. So it's important. Sometimes I'm going fast and I tend to make crooked lines. This is not a good time to do that because it can completely change the shape of your subject's face. Just going to click a couple times on here. Okay, so this is one way of doing it, and then you completely drop your opacity down very, very low. I'm talking like 4. And I'm just seeing that little bit of dodging. I'm actually going to bring it up. And that's too strong for me. So somewhere between a 4 and a 9 for this image. I'm going to do a 5 because I'm going to go back with the glow and really accentuate some areas. The other way you can do it is if you don't want to see the dark, dark line, you can simply drop your flow up here. I'm going to drop my flow to a 4. So one of the ways that you can get that painterly look is by building, dodging, and burning. So if we start at a 5 or a 4 or 3% and it's not enough, you just simply go over everything again. So this can be a time-consuming process. I am going to do it as quickly as possible in an effort to save time so that you don't have to sit through forever, as I'm just trying to showcase what this set all offers. So I'm just going through areas, adding in some burning, some shadows. Okay, so if I turn that off and on, I'm going to turn that off and on again. And then I'm going to drop the overall opacity, and I'm going to grab a black brush, put my flow at like 58%, and I'm going to take a little bit off the eyebrow there. A little bit too much for me. And then I'm also going to go back to my white brush. I always add lashes on my subjects. And I have all different lashes. I have ones that are over the top. I have ones that are super natural. I like to add lashes because I think it opens up my subject's eyes. So I'm not sure that I'm going to do that on this image. So what I am going to do is go over her lashes, burn the lashes so that it defines her eyes. I am going to grab a black brush. I'm going to leave my flow at 19%. It's too strong for me, so I'm going to take a little bit of it off. All right, perfect. Now the last thing we have is glow. So I'm going to leave this at 19, but I'm going to have to reduce that opacity. But I need to grab a white brush. Glow is for those areas that you really want to emphasize. So where we already see a pretty significant highlight, we're just going to accentuate that. I like to add it to the cheeks as well because I like my cheeks to pop. I'm going to try putting it under her eyes only because her eyes are very dark, because I have not, and her chin, I have not done any color correction under her eyes. So I'm going to see if we can do it with this and not have to add anything else. That makes a big difference. Okay, I'm going to drop this down a little bit more. All right, so that's Retouch. Let me turn this off and on. The Retouch bundle is sold separately. So you can see I have not done anything else. I've only used, besides I just took, before I started, I did not do anything to her face. I just took out with the eraser tool a couple extra of these that were up here. But as far as her face is concerned or any smoothing, everything was done with the actions. So I'm going to grab a snapshot. And then this one is one of my favorite. This is something that personally I did by hand, just by color balance layers and playing and looking. And it is like, this is a lifesaver and a game changer for me. So you can start bottom to top. I like to start top to bottom on this one. There's no rhyme or reason. Once you get to know them, you're going to look at an image and be like, oh, I want this and this for this image. So I believe we are going to pull these and sell them separately, but I am telling you, do yourself a favor and just, if you don't buy the whole workflow, buy this bundle because it's a complete time saver. So the first thing is just an overall color adjuster. So I'm going to turn that on and you can see how it makes her pop off the back. So it's on and it's off. Here is what you do if you don't love the colors. So what this is doing is it's brightening and warming up our highlights and it's cooling down our shadows. So you double click again. So again, I opened it up with the little arrow and you double click here and you see 000 because right here it's in the midtones. We don't want our midtones. We're working right now with our highlights and we have only our highlights that we're working with. I don't want so much yellow in this image, so I am going to pull that down and I'm going to do a little less red. So it's a little strong for me in this image, and that's fine. That's why we allow you to go in and fix it for what you want. Then the shadows. So again, I have to click on shadows. I am going to add actually a little bit more cyan into my shadows and a little less blue. All right. So if I close that down and turn it off and on, I'm liking that because I'm going to change it anyway. So now is when we get into, it starts with the seasons. So we are in Wisconsin and we have 7 months of cold at least. No, we have 4 pretty distinct seasons here in Wisconsin. And boy, are we waiting for spring right now. So I am going to turn on spring. It gives you that bright, airy, but there's also like a green almost to it. You know, the whole idea of new life and growth, and I am not clicked on it. Okay, I do that. I've been using these for over a month and I do this every time. You need to click. So I'm on spring, not my overall color adjuster. I need to click on spring and I am going to reduce the opacity. I typically, unless I know I just want to add like a little burst of warmth or whatever, I actually usually go through and play all of these just to see what it does. So I'm going to turn that off and on, and I am loving what that's doing to her skin. But I want the background to stay dark. So what I'm going to do is click on spring. I'm going to hit Command I to invert that, and I'm going to grab a white brush at 100%. And I am only going to paint this just on her face and her hands and the yellow. All right, so I just wanted to add the brightness. Do you see what that does? One click, so easy. And if I wanted her brighter, I could make her brighter. But I'm going to put her back down because I don't like all the green added into her. But she was kind of pulling a little bit of magenta anyway, so this is perfect for me. This is one of my favorite. I love it. It is winter. It gives us that matte, beautiful coloring. It really cools an image down. Again, we are in Wisconsin. I am looking outside right now and we have these things called squalls. If you haven't ever heard it, it's like literally where it's so windy and snowy that you can't see anything. And that's what I'm looking at right now out my window. So again, I need to click on winter and then I can adjust the opacity. I am not going to use this for this image because I don't want, it's just not what I want for this image or I'm envisioning, but you could also, if I only wanted it on the background, for example, click on the white with my black brush and I can take it off of anywhere that I don't want it. Okay. But I'm going to just turn that off. Again, we don't need to flatten anything. We don't need to throw it in the garbage. We just turn it off and we move on. Autumn. This is one of my favorite for skin. I absolutely love the look of this on skin. It's set at 25% default. If you really want more, you can crank it up. We have, sometimes it's 2 weeks, sometimes it's 8 weeks in Wisconsin, some of the most beautiful autumn weather you can imagine. I love this on skin. So I'm going to hit Command I again, and with my white brush, I'm going to do 50% opacity. I'm going to paint this on her skin. Now, if it were summer, she has and you'll see in the sunflower edit, we call her our little brown nut because she looks like a little almond. She has very, very tan skin. But in the winter, we don't see the sun here in Wisconsin, so we're going to add it. It's kind of like that faux tan. So I am still loving the look of that spring. I don't know if I'm even going to add this in or not. Let me just see. I think I am. I'm going to leave it's only at 14%. But again, if you wanted it darker, you could do that. And you can see it's kind of adding a little bit of, cashmere look to her face as well. So gorgeous. All right, next up is summer. So that is going to be that pow, that big, bright, beautiful summer. This is at 100%. I am going to reduce that opacity down. And again, I want a darker background, which Whitney and I are working on textures right now, but it's very easy to do either with a solid fill layer or adding a texture to the background. So I have a white brush and I am going to paint. I'm at 50% summer on her. I'm going to hit the backslash key. So we never want a halo. I'm going to grab the black brush and I'm going to do that. Off and on. So it's just really popping her skin. Again, I am going to bring that down a little bit. So what is so wonderful about these is use them all, use them in combination, don't use any of them, but it is just an absolute game changer. All right, beautiful color. That to me is like, whoa, what's happening here? But here's what I love beautiful color for. I'm going to hit Command I. I shoot a lot on, I'm going to bring this up to 100% on backdrops because it is crummy weather here in Wisconsin for sometimes 7 months out of the year, 8 months out of the year. What I love this beautiful color for is popping the colors on clothing and on those backdrops. So you see in some of the backdrop groups, those posts, those backdrops where like there's parts of it that just pop right out at you. This is one of the ways you can do that. Do you see the difference? It's incredible. I am going to just go up here and grab her headband as well. I just want to make sure that I don't have a halo around her headband. Nope. Okay. Moody. Now, if I wanted to, that's darkening my background and it gives it like a little bit of a matte look as well. I could totally leave that on. And if I will just show you, it's at 50%. Here it is at 100%. If I wanted to just add in a little bit of darkness to her, like, ooh, she's looking a little too bright for me, I could do that. And actually, I think I'm going to because I like what it does to the shadows. All right, bright and airy. This is like the Instagram feels. This is at 75%. If you want an image that's super bright and airy, I'm not going to do that for this one. Hypercolor. So here it is again. Take a look at what this is doing. I am going to click on the white box and hit Command I to invert that and grab a black brush. And I am going to use hypercolor on my clothing, on the things that I really want the color. I need a white brush, goodness. I really want my color to pop here, so that's what I'm using it on. In this instance, I don't want her skin to be a real dark orange, but there's a time and a place for all of these. I could even go, and some of these can be used on just eyes and lips. I can show you. If I zoom in here, once my computer catches up. Oh, there we go. Maybe I just want to make her lips pop, or adding in a little bit to her eyes. That's what these are also good for as well. So I'm going to zoom back out, and I'm going to turn that off and on. So I am going to just drop that a tad because I don't love the super bright color on her lip. This is another one that is so good. Golden matte. I am going to turn this up to 100 so you can see. Something that I really like to do to make my subjects pop is click on the white and grab a black brush. If you want your subject to pop off the background, you can matte your background and you can take it off of your subject. And again, you just don't want to have a halo, and I'm doing this quickly. And you can see if I turn this off and on, how she's kind of popping off the background. So I am going to drop this way down because I like the darker color. I'm actually not even going to use this at all. Golden spot. This one is really fun because boom, in one click, it brings the attention directly to the center of your photo, which is what we want to do typically, especially in a portrait, right? We want to bring the attention to the eyes. That's why sometimes I go a little overboard on my eyes, because that's where I want the attention. I'm just going to drop this super low. Golden contrast, I use on almost every single image. Again, off and on. It just brings the skin, it just makes it pop, this gorgeous, beautiful color. And then we have rich golden contrast. If you really want to darken everything up, I can click on that and bring that down. I've only got it at 4%. So that is the color toning. It's so amazing. I am going to turn that off and on. Isn't it incredible? So with literally playing with opacity, one-click actions, we can go from what I thought was beautiful to like, wow. And we're not even to our final touches yet. So I'm going to grab a screen or a snapshot there. And last but not least, included in our final, or in our ultimate workflow, is our final touches. So I'm not a big one on vignettes, but I love these. So I've been adding them more and more to my, and maybe I just didn't because I didn't have any that I liked or wasn't good at adding them, but these are good. So these are literally one click, and you can play with the opacity. So again, vignette choices, I'm under final touches, and I hit the arrow and I get an option of 4 vignettes, and you literally click. So a vignette is going to do kind of like that golden spot. It's just going to bring your focus to the center. I mean, look what that's doing. I'm just going to play each one separately for you. Here we really bring the attention to the center with some extra light, and here as well. I am loving this one. I am going to back it off a tad, and then I am going to, that one really pops it. I'm going to go to this one. And this one's at 30%. I mean, you can bring it up. I'm just going to bring it down. Okay, so if I just show you the vignette, what that's done, it again brings attention in toward my subject. I am going to add a mask, and we also have an action for that too, but easy enough to do that. And with a black brush, I'm just going to take that off of her arms a little bit. Okay. Perfect. This one I love. This is another one for the clothing and the backdrop. So color pop. It's like, wow. So I'm going to click on color pop and I'm going to bring that down a little bit. I'm clicking on the white mask and hitting Command I, and I'm going to grab a white brush because if your mask is black, you can only see what you're doing if your brush is white. And same thing, if it's a white, then the brush needs to be black. And this is that action that is going to give that wow factor to anything you want to really, really pop the color. So again, if you have that backdrop that's dark and I had shot this beautiful backdrop that it was tulips, and it had these greens and yellows and reds. It was gorgeous. And this brought it from ordinary to extraordinary. I mean, it was a gorgeous backdrop, but to really make those colors pop makes it so pretty. So you can see now, if that's too strong for you, you simply bring down the opacity. All right, Orton effect. I love this. This is a Whitney thing she's used forever, and it literally just makes your subject pop off the background. I've done a lot of that already, so I'm actually going to skip this one, but I just wanted to show you. These two are included in our skin package, and they are two game changers for me. They are literally one click. In our skin bundle, we have gray skin spot remover, red skin spot remover, blue skin spot remover, where you can click and you can remove things by painting. This is an all over image. So I like it for skin. So you can do, the Command I and invert it and paint it. But on this image, we'll see what it does. So you click and look at the flowers or whatever these things are. I'm going to click it again. And it's automatically taking the orange, reducing the orange and making them almost like a little, greenish, yellowish, but I don't want that. I want them to stay that beautiful color. So I am going to click on this and hit Command I to invert this. And I'm going to go, she's not pulling a ton of orange anywhere. I'm just looking. I'm just going to dot around here with my white brush and I'm at 100%. She's a little dark through here, but really she doesn't have a ton of orange. So in this instance, this isn't the best, but you will see photos like the one I posted on our group today of the sunflower field where like everything was orange, and this reduced orange was incredible. So sometimes you really see it, sometimes you don't. And we have also reduced magenta. So you can see in the background and in her face, she's really pulling magenta. So I'm going to zoom out and watch. Turn it on and turn it off. Turn it on and turn it off. So sometimes you don't even realize your image. Like I didn't realize the whole image had a lot of magenta in it until you do this. So I am actually going to leave that on the entire image and just drop it a tad. And then it's pulling out some of that magenta and really working with her skin. So this, we have adding warmth and cooling down. So I am going to cool her down. And if you don't like it, you can simply bring it down. I like this a lot on skin. If you don't like this blue, you can finagle up here. I like this one. It's a little bit softer. I don't know why. I just like this one on her skin. Now, if it was another subject, I might very well like a different one. I only want this coolness on her skin right now, so I'm going to click on here and hit Command I to invert it. And I don't want it to be like in your face, she has blue skin. I just want a cooler skin tone. So I'm at 41%, and I am just going to run this on her skin. And I can turn that off and on. So it almost gives the skin, and I'm even going to drop it more, this little sheen to it, a little sheen to the skin. In the same aspect, if I would like, I could warm her up, turn it off and turn it on. That's not what I'm going for in this image. I sometimes, instead of adding warmth, I just use this action. It's amazing. Add saturation, boom. And it by adding that saturation will warm her up. And I like that a little bit on here, but I want to keep it at a lower opacity. So I'm going to leave it at 15%. We have add contrast, off and on. I like the contrast on her. It's something that I used to do on my images before I started the ultimate workflow. At the end, I would add in some contrast and some clarity. Now I can do it with the click of a button. Darken is going to do just that. It's going to darken the entire image. I'm going to click on here and grab a black brush, white, remember we want opposite, and I am going to up my flow to 74%, and I am going to paint this on her. I love the background on this one as a darker background. In fact, I might show you how I would change the color of that as well using one of our quick actions. All right, let me turn that off and on. So we don't want a halo around her, which I'm seeing a little bit here. So I'm just going back through. I'm gonna hit my backslash key. There's a little bit of a halo here. Okay, off and on. So now it's a little too dark for me. I'm going to do this. And then in the same aspect, we have add light. And that one I'm going to click on. I'm going to hit Command I to invert that. And at 45%, I am going to paint that just on her skin. And then turn that off and on. It's a little too bright for me, so I'm going to adjust the opacity. Okay, so final touches, off and on, off and on. So I'm going to grab a snapshot and show you, we began here. This is where we started it all off. Then went to here. So this is what I edited out, and then I liquefied her hair up here a little bit. So that was with the retouch. That was with the color toning, and that was with our final touches. So again, when you're starting here and then ending it here, it's a significant difference. Now, if I look through here, final touches, and I go to our quick actions, I'm going to make sure I'm up here. I am going to do a soft light layer, and then I'm going to go File, or I'm sorry, Layer, New Fill Layer, and Solid Color. And I am going to grab, I don't know what color I want. You can play just like I am. Kind of like this. I'm going to hit OK. And then I would grab a black brush. And I can take that off of her. I'm going to drop that opacity. And then I'm going to go on here and I'm going to drop this down darker. There we go. So that's a super quick, again, that's why they're called quick actions. I'm going to hit my backslash and I can see, do you see the white coming or the red coming up here? That means that there's going to be a halo around her. So I need to take the white brush and I need to go back again on here. All right, so if you want to change the background color, it's pretty simple. I'm going to go back on here with my black brush, take some of that off of her. Okay, so it went from brown to a blue, still right here. If I don't want it blue, I can make it darker. I can do green. It really does not matter. I mean, it does matter, but you can choose any color that you'd like is what I'm getting at. So I'm going to go up in here and I'm just going to, I think I'm going to pick this color actually. I like that. All right, let me grab a snapshot. So again, here is where the image started, and this is after our retouch, after our color toning, incredible difference, after our final touches, And then if you, again, just grabbed the quick action, adding a soft light layer and then a solid fill layer and change the background. So this is our ultimate workflow actions. They are incredible. As always, we are a teaching platform, so if you have questions, please reach out. I hope that you all love this as much as we do, and we are so excited to share this with you. Thank you.